Hello, everybody, and welcome into Off the Boards. This is episode, I think this is 5. I honestly can't remember. I know that we're done all the predictions, and we actually get to have open discussions about hockey now. Hockey is so close to being back. I'm so excited. But as always, this is the host of the show, me, Josh, Ethan down there in the middle, and Ryan up there in the corner. And how are your guys' weeks going so far?
Oh, it's not too bad.
Fair enough.
Can't complain.
Fair enough. I'm glad hockey is back and better than ever. Better than ever. So, I mean, do you want to start off with the Vancouver signings there, Ethan? Mr. Excitement down there?
What a great week it is for us Vancouver fans as we were able to sign Petey and Hughes. Great additions to the squad, and I really think they're gonna have a huge impact on the roster. But I think this year this is our best roster that we've had since getting Petey and Hughes. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this season. I'm extremely excited to watch. I'm just, I'm lost for words. I don't know how Jim Benning managed to pull that off, but it's great. They're great contracts.
It's called Jim Benning. Jim Benning walked into the room and said, "Look, I don't have any money. You take it or leave it, I suppose." Except he couldn't do. Kyle Dubas can't do that because the Leafs make too much money. So he had to go. Well, like I know how you feel because all my players just decided to just flip the bird to the Leafs and just go, "Fuck you guys, pay us." So I don't know.
I'm extremely happy with the contracts. Quinn Hughes' contract, especially. Being long term, even Petey, when his contract ends, he'll still be an RFA. So hopefully within a 3-year span, we can find say $10 to $11 million for him. So I think in 3 years' time, that's probably what
I don't mean to toot my own horn or anything, but in the Vancouver prediction video that we did, I actually was really close to what their contract values were. And I was pretty surprised. I was like, damn, I was lowballing those contracts and Jim Benning actually got it done.
Yep.
Man, it's crazy.
Very, very impressive work from Jim Benning.
Did we have any other big signings last week or?
We did. Jake Evans signed.
Oh yes.
Before I mention that, we should mention what the Hughes and Pettersson contracts actually were. Pettersson 3 years, 7.35, would be 6 years, 7.6 years. Yeah. Okay. So both very, very good contracts for them. Jake Evans signed an extension in Montreal, 3 years, $1.7 million, which is great value for a young player like him. So very excited for that.
Yeah, that's a great contract.
Yeah. Great work in the playoffs. Great work last year. I'm excited to see what he can do, especially seeing he'll probably be playing with Gallagher and Hawk this year, so good line mates there. We'll get along. Other than that, not much. But there was a signing, perhaps a signing out of training camp. Arbor Jackeye. The only reason I bring him up, name Jackeye, spelled Xhekaj.
That is interesting. I also heard that Jack Johnson, Big Jack, is super close to signing with the Avs.
Yep, they're looking at a 1-year deal, yeah.
I mean, he's able to get in there. Devin Taves isn't going to start the year, from what I've heard. So, I don't think there's anything else really to talk about. So you want me to? We just move forward here to the Leafs documentary from last year got released on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
And I watched the whole thing. And
same here.
Do you want the Leafs fan to go off for a minute or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Where do I
start?
It's your time
to shine. It's your time to cry.
It was definitely an interesting look, just from a hockey standpoint, being able to look at what the teams go through, especially last year with COVID and everything. At the same time, I will say that I've never felt that amount. Sports are weird. Sports are the only thing that can make you feel really happy and almost just pure disappointment at the same time. And watching that documentary, I watched all of it in one day and spent 6 hours. I had nothing better to do. But I'm like, man, like, there's clips where I'm like smiling, I'm watching it, and then at the same time, like, I'm like almost crying because I'm like, I know how this story ends, and I'm like, it's tough, man, but it's nice to see that the players actually did want to play there. Like, I have a clip here of Foligno and Wayne Simmons talking about how they wanted to be on the Leafs here. I'll play the clip. I'm sorry if it's really loud. I actually have no idea how loud this clip's going to be, but I'll play it for everyone else.
These moments as a kid, this is when my game comes to life.
Playing for the Leafs, it's like I'm playing for my community.
Yeah, so it's like it's nice to see that guys actually do want to play for the Leafs. And it was definitely an interesting look to get, like, a look inside of what Dubas was doing, like, when he waived Jimmy Vesey, like, how that looked, and how, like, you know, you bring in guys and you make things work, and what players even did in their off-seasons last year, and what they thought after the regular season. And that group, coming out of the regular season, I don't know what happened. They had all the confidence in the world, and, like, you know, it just... We had the Rocket winner, the team was playing great, we were on top of the world. Our coach seemed like everything was going great. I mean, the power play was a little spotty, but, you know, I was like, I remember going into that series going, there is no fucking way. There's no way we lose. And then game 1, Tavares gets knocked out, and what I didn't know until I watched this, spoiler alert for everyone, it's, well, the season's already over, but anyone who hasn't watched it, you obviously know the end story, but they actually had talked about conceding that game. Because Keefe was like, how the fuck am I supposed to get a group of this many guys back on the same page after they're watching their captain dead on the ice? Like, couldn't even fucking move, essentially. And I didn't even think about that. The only thing I remember thinking in that moment when that hit was happening, and Ryan was there when it happened, was I was steaming mad. I'm like, this is ridiculous, this is bullshit, that was a dirty hit, all this other shit, and everyone's like, no, it's not a dirty hit. I've gone back and looked at it a lot of the time. There was knee on knee there. That's the only part.
Yeah.
Perry hitting him in the head, was that dirty? No. Could Perry have tried more to get out of the way? I don't know. I've never been in that situation. It's a split-second decision. So, it's shit happens is what I boil that down to. But it just, you know, and then what I found a lot, the part that made me, you know, not pissed off, but frustrated, is I watched my team go from 1 down to 3-1, and I'm like, okay, this is it. This has got to be it. And then we have a shitty performance in Game 5. Game 5. Game 5, yeah. Where we have to come back. We come back. Golchinik gives it away, and you guys go down an odd-man rush and score, and that ends the game. The Leafs were playing from behind that entire game. But they did, at the end of the day, I was like, they're kind of outplaying the Habs at the end. Next game, same thing happens. Playing from behind. The Leafs tie the game, take it to overtime. This overtime looked a lot more competitive. I was like, okay, cool. Same story.
The Leafs were dominant in that overtime, I have to say. I have to give it up for them.
And it's just, it's really frustrating to watch how excited those guys were in games 2, 3, and 4, and then how the mood just all of a sudden changed. And I'm not saying that Sheldon Keefe didn't have, like, a good, like, grip on what was going on, but it almost felt like he lost the locker room after Game 6. Like, after they lost in overtime and we went into Game 7, we saw what Keefe said before that game, and I don't have the clip in front of me because I didn't get that clip, but you felt something was different, you know? Like, they were talking about Matthews and Marner not being able to produce and stuff like that, and we also saw Dubas pulled Marner and Matthews into his office in between, I think it was Games 5 and 6, and basically sat them down and said, what's going on? Like, you know, like, why are you guys not being able to produce for us? And it's frustrating, and it's really disappointing to watch, and it just, you know, I was really happy watching games 2, 3, and 4 in the clip, because it, you know, I didn't, like, Foligno was coming back, stuff like that. I also didn't know how bad Foligno's injury was, where he basically couldn't fucking stand. Like, that's kind of nuts. Yeah. And just, like, all the adversity the Leafs had to go through last year, all the injuries, everything else, COVID, yada, 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 and they just, everything was going Leafs. And for some reason, this team manages to fuck it up every year. Yeah. But, as a Leafs fan...
They went all Leafs.
I'm not going to say I'm optimistic, but it does feel like every single time the next regular season comes around, I'm like, oh, this is their year. There's no way they could fuck it up this time, man. Like, look at this roster. I love the Leafs roster this year, and I said that last year. And how did that turn out? Getting fucking booted in Game 7 for the same fucking Cinderella story every year. Every year. It's so hurtful, man. Like, it can't keep happening. But taking it back to the... Go ahead.
I know it feels like it can't, Josh, but you guys don't know this. My dad's a Habs. I guess Josh, you know this. My dad's a Leafs fan. My dad is a Leafs fan. I've been hearing, well, there's always next year since that Sunday. So,
yeah,
maybe it can't always happen, but sure seems like it does.
Buddy, I'm well aware. Also, my fucking beverage just fucking hinged up real quick, so I don't need it. God damn it. I don't need a timeout, but just vamp for a few minutes. I'll be back in a second. God damn it.
All right, what did you think about the documentary?
I thought it was really good. Like Josh mentioned, from a hockey standpoint, it was really descriptive on how players and what players were going through the COVID season. You know, it brought a lot of emotion to a lot of the players. And it was a great. Personally, I thought it was a really good documentary. I'm obviously not a Leafs fan, but it was really cool to watch as a hockey fan. You know, and to watch Sheldon Keefe, you know, give those pre-game speeches and mid-game speeches. It was really cool to watch, and you can see how much it affected the guys when they lost a game or when they won a game or when somebody got injured. You know, there's so much more to hockey than the scores of a game. And that's one of the biggest things that a lot of hockey fans don't realize. You know, it took me a really long time to realize that, oh, you know, they don't just go play and then, you know, they either win or they lose. There's so much after stuff, you know, like how are these dads dealing with not being able to see their families during the COVID time? Like Zach Bogosian, you know, that was a great clip to see of Zach Bogosian, and you know, I wouldn't say it was like a tearjerker, but it was really emotional seeing like a lot of those off ice stuff. It made you realize, you know, like these hockey players are just like people like us, you know, they do this sport for entertainment and the sole purpose that they just love hockey.
I know what clip you're talking about. I'm assuming it's the Bogosian one where his kid's there. Like, are you coming to my birthday? That did make me cry. I was like, bro, like that's like, I'm like, oh my god, like, you know, like you don't think about that kind of thing. Like last year, like I wasn't thinking about the families not being able to see, like, you know, they live in America, like they can't fucking go home, and it's just like you know, like, to thinking back to what just happened to me as a Leafs fan. Of course, things can always get worse. Just, you know, every year they seem to fuck it up, and like Ryan just said, yeah, Ryan, your dad's been saying that his entire life. My dad's been saying that his entire life. I've been saying that my entire life. Every goddamn year. When I was growing up, it was, oh fuck, we can't make the playoffs. Oh fuck, we can't make the playoffs. Oh shit, we made the playoffs. Oh, we're out. Okay, cool, we're back in. Oh, okay, cool, we're out again. Fuck! And then it's like 4 years in a row. Game 7. I'm like, oh!
What's Game 5 in there?
That's, like, it's the same shit. They still lost the fucking game. But
last game of the season was never fun. Game
7 of that series, Jack Campbell was on fire. Like, he was crazy good. And I'm gonna like, cause Jack Campbell, I'm not gonna say he's I don't want to say he's the reason that the Leafs lost that game, but Jack needed to save that goal that he let in, and he said it himself. Like he admitted it. He's like, I needed to have that one, and it was nice to hear. That's not a button. I'm gonna share this with you guys real quick. I'm gonna play the clip for them, and I'm gonna play it for us so we can actually hear it. But it's just, you know, it tugged at my heartstrings a little bit. So I'm gonna mute you guys real quick. I'm mute you guys. Start playing this clip.
I just think of how hard our team battled, and for it to end, you know,
worst goal of my career and happened in Game 7. You know, it's just not acceptable, and I think the team counts on me to be better, and I know I can be a lot better than that. So I'm gonna get back to work and be better.
Yeah. So, oh, you just disappeared. Hold on, I gotta bring you back. That Ryan, every fucking time, man. Every time. Why do you always disappear off the screen? Where is it? Okay. So yeah.
I'm back.
So everyone just heard that, right? Jack Campbell, he was distraught. Like, he was fighting the tears. When they showed the clip of him in the locker room after the game, he was actually crying. Like, I could see it. And you can tell this, like, last year when the Leafs lost in Game 7 or Game 5 or whatever game that was, I didn't feel like, you know, like that was, it meant something. Watching the locker room and being able to see it after this game, I feel like it actually meant something to these guys. To not only, if they were going to go far, it would have meant something, but to get knocked out, I feel like it meant something. That picture of Matthews and Marner where they were sitting there just abysmal.
Yeah. That
sticks with me. And as a Leafs fan, it kind of, I'm not going to say it fills me with joy to watch my players suffer like that, because trust me, I'm suffering with them. But it just, it made it a little bit easier to swallow watching them actually be upset about this. And, you know, like the old mantra or motto of it, there's always next year. I'm getting pretty tired of hearing it. Yeah. Eventually, it's got to stop being, okay, there's always next year. It's got to be, this is the year, you know? And it just, it does. It gets a little annoying sometimes trying to hear, you know, it's just, oh, last year I kept hearing, oh, the Leafs are so good. Oh, they're so this, they're so that. And then they can't get out of the fucking first round again. And I'm like, what is the factor holding this team back? I don't understand. I don't know what's holding this team back. The funny thing is, in NHL history, every time the Leafs and Habs have played each other in the first round, we've gone to the Stanley Cup Finals. Either the winning team is advanced. And so, I'm not going to say that history played a factor in Montreal making it to the finals last year, because I do think they went on a Cinderella run, and I think even Ryan would admit that. You know,
I think it was Cinderella run, but I wouldn't be surprised that they could potentially repeat it.
Well, no, what I'm saying is they were feeling really high and mighty after they beat the Leafs.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of momentum out of that. Carey Price gets
definitely a lot of momentum.
Carey Price gets his head filled that he is the best goaltender of all time, which he did have an amazing series. But I give Jack Campbell credit. Jack Campbell maybe not necessarily played better than Carey Price, but he was right there with him until that last game where he let in that soft high glove goal that Gallagher shot.
Jack Campbell was great, and I think the Leafs are lucky to have a guy like that.
And I
that much heart. So.
I love Jack Campbell. I love the heart. I love his game. I love everything he puts into this team. He is a fuel for this team, and it fills me, like, again, it doesn't fill me with joy, but it's nice to see these guys going through the same amount of pain as a fan that I do. Because I would have been so fucking mad if the Leafs lost that game and they're all sitting in the locker room like nothing happened. Like, whatever. They knew that this was the fucking year. They knew it. You could see it, that they blew it. Like, it's tough to watch. It really is.
It is. But yeah, no. It was a great documentary. No.
Amazon really did a fantastic job.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic job, but we should probably move on here to our next thing, Josh.
Which is the preseason. So, I want to ask you guys this question, and I want both of you to answer it. Does the preseason matter?
Yeah.
Yes? Why?
I agree. I think it's a great showing of what could be lines for the upcoming season. To see how strong a young prospect is growing.
Mm-hmm.
And it also I think it shows the strong development of a young prospect. And, you know, goaltenders, and see who fits where. So I think preseason is very important for a lot of teams. You know, there are some teams where it feels like, all right, well, we already know what's gonna be what, and, you know, like the Capitals, for example. I feel like they always know who's gonna be where, who's gonna be what. You know.
Yeah.
But like as a Canucks fan, this year, sorry.
No, it's all good. Finish. Go ahead.
As a Canucks fan this year, like watching preseason, it's pretty good because you got to see some young players play in and see how well and how hard they've been working to get to where they want to be. I personally believe that preseason is very important for a lot of teams.
Ryan, I'll ask you this question after. I want to get Ethan's opinion on this part of it too. Does player performance in the preseason matter? Like single player performance? Individual statistics in the preseason, do those matter?
I think yes and no. At the same time, you got to remind yourself that it is preseason and you're not playing everybody's top lineups, you know.
Yep.
But if a player is performing well with so and so, you know, you could potentially see that player playing with those players in the upcoming season.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of dependent, I guess.
So Ryan, I'll ask you the same two questions. Does the preseason matter first?
Like it matters in the sense of it gives players an opportunity to like get back into the rhythm of things. It gives young players an opportunity to show what they're capable of. But in terms of team performance and player statistics, it doesn't.
It doesn't matter.
It's too hard to say that they matter when you can have an NHL roster playing an NHL roster.
So here's the reason I asked this question. Michael Bunting on the Leafs against Ottawa the other night scored a hat trick, and I'm gonna play the clips of the goals here. I can just show them on the screen because there's no sound, but here's goal number 1. Just kind of he's in the right spot there, kind of a goal. Like there was not really any like individual, like, you know, he didn't go down there and rip a fucking like ripper of a shot. It was just a nice shot. Here's goal number 2. It's just a tip coming off the point there from Sandin. So that was a, you know, stick in the right place, kind of, you know, it was pretty nice. And then goal number 3 here is just, again, he's in the right position to score, but that number 22 there, I don't know if you guys saw that in the clip there, the defenseman there, that guy, one of them is in the wrong, oh no, they're on the penalty kill, but yeah, he backed up way too much. So, like, the thing is, right, like, I don't know what to take away from the preseason, because the Leafs have been performing, like, well. I expect them to perform well in the regular season. Do I think that Michael Bunting is going to be a giant part of the Leafs? No. But what I will say is that Bunting, Ho-Sang, and Kase have had amazing preseasons. And it bodes really well for the Leafs to get them under contract at least, or to, yeah, well, they're, to one of them's PTO. Ho-Sang is probably going to get a contract and stay with the Leafs this year. Bunting is definitely, I believe, has made enough impact where he should stay with the team, and same with Kase. I think they'll all make the Leafs opening night roster at this point. It'll just be where they slot in, which I'm excited about. I'm really excited about. I'm excited to see Sandin play, because I'll play the 6th clip I have here. Is the Leafs did a blue versus white, you know what I mean, like the team play each other, and so here's the clip. This is Sandin in the shootout, like just fucking waited for him, like that's a defenseman, that's not a forward, and he's doing shit like that. Oh my god, like I'm like,
that's a great performance from Sandin, but can I ask what goalies you have against?
I think that was Mrazek.
That was Mrazek? Okay.
I think so. But the thing is, like, I'm saying this right now, the Leafs are going to lose Morgan Rielly at the end of this year. Sandin can fill that role. I'm not worried. I'm really not. I'm really high on Sandin right now, and I think that Sandin's, even his defensive game might be better than Morgan Rielly's, because Morgan Rielly's not really good in his own zone. He's a really good offensive guy. But, you know.
Now, that's an interesting take from the Leafs fan.
Yeah, that's a hot take, Josh.
He's not going to be there. That's not the hot take part. The hot take part, I assume, is what I said about Sandin, but it's kind of been acknowledged, like, a lot of people are saying at this point that Morgan Rielly is not going to play with the Leafs beyond this year. Just money factor, who we have to sign coming up, and everything else that's going on. Especially if, by God, if we don't make it out of the first round this year.
I understand that point, but I think I don't know. It's hard to say. I think Morgan Rielly has been one of your guys' best defensemen for so long that it's. You know,
I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that I'd be happy if he walked out the door, but at the same time, if the guy, because the guy is gonna come in,
sure.
He's gonna come into negotiations and be like, look, I want 8, let's say, or I want 8 or 9 or however much he's gonna ask for. Dubas is gonna be like, no, like I'm not paying you that. Like it's tough. It's gonna be tough, but I honestly believe that from what I've seen from Sandin in the preseason and his conditioning and everything that I've been reading and seeing about him, I do believe that he could step into that role and be solid. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. I thought the Leafs defensive core last year was the best I had ever seen, and I was. This year it's going to be better, which is nuts. Nuts, man. I love what the Leafs are doing on the power play, too, in preseason. Like, I could go on and on about the Leafs all day in the preseason. I don't know if you guys have watched any of your own team's preseason games, but...
Josh, can I ask, why do you think Rasmus Sandin, a guy with 37 games of NHL experience and 12 points in those 37 games, could replace Morgan Rielly, a former 20-goal scorer, 72-point career high? And that was in the last 82-game season.
So, here's my response to that. The reason Sandin didn't make the team last year is because he came in out of shape. They didn't call him fat like they called Kadri, but he came in out of shape. This year, he's leading the groups of the Suicide Skates or whatever, like the Lions.
Yeah.
So, and he's not even fucking winded. So, he's got the endurance to do it. I've seen his skill in the AHL and in every other like level he's played at, so I know he can produce, and plus what I've seen in the preseason, I know he can produce, and he can quarterback a fucking power play unit like no one else, man. Nuts. He's still on his ELC, so he fits in, he's able to replace him on the money factor standpoint. The leadership role is not going to be filled. He's not going to be able to fill the leadership role of Morgan Rielly. But I do think that, because here's the thing, right? I don't need him to match the point production of Morgan Rielly. I don't. If he gets 10 less points, 15 less points, it's not going to hurt the Leafs very much. The Leafs are a really good offensive team anyway. You know, and plus he's still...
What happens if Rasmus Sandin scores, say, 30 less points?
I don't see it happening in the role that they're going to put him in. If it happens, it happens. But at the same time, you know, you have the backup plan in Liljegren. You know, one of these guys is going to pan out. One of them is probably going to bust. And at this point, I think Liljegren's more of a bust potential than Sandin. But
I would agree.
And the thing is, like, if we lose Morgan Rielly, and like even this year on the defensive core, I believe it's going to be Morgan Rielly, Brody, Muzzin, Hall, Liljegren, and Sandin. I think that's going to be the defense they run with, and Dermott's going to fucking just be there because they have to carry his contract because Dubas. But
yeah,
you know, it's, you know, there's one other rumor I guess I could talk about the Leafs. I just want to mention this. Envol apparently. They're shopping him for nothing because they just want to get rid of his contract. So it's going to be like when Fleury got traded for nothing. They're going to trade Envol for nothing. Why are we letting people trade for nothing? That annoys me. But back to what you said, Ryan. What happens if he scores less than 30 points? I don't see it happening, especially if he's playing with Brody. If it happens, then the Leafs are probably SOL, and someone's going to have to step up and fill that role. Or the Leafs are just going to be an offensive juggernaut like they were in 2017? Was that the year they went to the playoffs against the Capitals? I think it was. Whatever year that was, they were an offensive juggernaut, were terrible in their own zone. And we still made the playoffs just because Anderson was playing out of his fucking mind. And so...
yeah,
it's just, you know... If it happens, I'm kind of curious to see, but I would put my money on Morgan Rielly not being a part of the Leafs past this year. And
I buy that. I believe the Morgan Rielly probably won't. I think
we're going to lose him for nothing. Nothing.
I think you will, but in term for Morgan Rielly specifically, I think this would be more rather than trading him at the deadline as a rental. I think this will be more of a I keep him as my own rental kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. But the frustrating thing, we lost Zach Hyman for nothing, and we're going to lose Morgan Rielly for nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
The thing is, though, Josh, it's only nothing if you don't win the playoffs. So you lose him for nothing. But if you can get a playoff run out of it, it's worth it.
Be honest with me right now. What do the Leafs have to do in the playoffs for people to respect them?
Win a round at least.
So if they win one round, it fixes everything.
No.
I can tell you as a Leafs fan, it doesn't fix everything if we win one round and then get fucking... No. If we got swept... No. Okay, here's the thing. I say that, but as a Leafs fan, my... What is it? Not confidence, but my fucking... whatever. No, my belief, whatever. My belief for this team, or my... I can't remember the word, it's starting to piss me off, whatever. Goal... Sure. My goal for this team isn't to win the Stanley Cup. My confidence and everything is so low with this fucking team. If they won a playoff round and got swept in the second round, I would be like, there's at least improvement. But for the past 4 years, I've watched them fucking lose in Game 7. And I'm like, well, there's no improvement here. Like, there's individual improvement in the fucking regular season, but who cares? Like I said this when the Leafs lost Game 7 last year. I'm like, they could go 82-0 next year, and I still wouldn't have any confidence in them. I'd be like, well, we're fucked. We're boned. That's it. We're done. Pack it up. 7 games. That's all we're good for. Like, what do the Leafs have to do to win the first round? To get out of the first round? Because
personnel change.
Is it it's personnel?
Either you need to change your entire front office, or you need to make a change in your team leadership. Oh,
Dubas is fired after this year. If we lose in round 1 again, they're firing Dubas.
If they lose in round 1 again, Dubas, Shanahan, Keith, all gone.
I don't know if they fire Shanahan. I agree.
Shanahan maybe not.
But the thing is, like, you get a chance in being a GM and on teams. You get a chance to rebuild once. You don't normally get a chance to rebuild twice. Yep. And I can tell you as a Leafs fan growing up, this is the best Leafs squad I've seen, and it is going to be an absolute fucking dagger to my heart if we can't win a fucking round. You don't need to win the Stanley Cup. My goal isn't to win the Stanley Cup, it's to win a Jesus playoff round, please. For all that is holy in the planet, someone help me, because I don't know what I'm going to do if this team loses in Game 7 again. I'm going to just, like... I remember when they lost Game 7 last year, I was wearing this hat and I threw it across the room and I jumped on it and I said, I'm never going to fucking be a Leafs fan again. I'm never going to fucking watch another game. And look at me. I'm sitting in a fucking room full of Leafs shit, wearing a Leafs hat, back wearing the same fucking thing. Someone just buy me a clown hat and put on, like, let me just paint my face in clown makeup next year if they fucking lose another first round. I'm going to be like, look at me, Josh the big old clown, the Leafs fan, the guy in the blue, wearing this fucking Leafs hat with clown makeup on because he's an idiot because he still likes to save.
Gosh, don't worry. You don't need clown makeup. We already know you're clown. We should probably move on, or at least get back to what we were talking about the preseason. That's where this started, by the way.
Well, yeah, I said I was gonna go off on a Leafs rant this entire time. If you guys want to talk about your teams, I haven't watched any of your guys' games. I just watched some Leaf games.
The Habs playoff or Habs preseason is pretty good. You know, we definitely solidified our second line. I think. Dvorak, Anderson, the dad line, if you will. And none of them have dad energies to problem. But see, there's a dad void in the Habs because Shea Weber's gone, so you know, maybe somebody.
Oh, I thought Petrie was gonna fill that role, Ryan.
He's gonna fill his spot in the lineup. There's no level of Petrie that can fill in the Shea Weber dad.
Carey Price,
like
step up, be a
dad.
man. Carey Price, be the team dad. Don't get hurt.
Here's the thing. I love Carey Price. He very much has the same energy as Aaron Rodgers. So I'm also passionate. I'm here for you. I'll win you a championship. I'm not fucking teaching the next guy. Fuck him.
I fucking love Aaron Rodgers.
He straight up has said. Carey Price has said he does not want to train Keaton Rideau. And we're like,
really?
Fine then, fuck off.
You guys, you pay the guy $10 million and he's like, no. Fuck him.
Primo's in the AHL. He'll be Price's backup once Allen is gone. So
isn't that 3 years?
It will work out.
Don't you think that
2 years? I think 2 years.
Don't you think that Primo is gonna want to play? Like, if not this year, then next year. Like you gotta give him a chance at one point, right? He's not gonna want to play in the AHL forever because his ELC is probably done after this year.
It is, but I mean, he's still a goaltender that's 22 years old. So most goaltenders aren't Carey Price and start at a very young age. They usually start at like when it comes.
I agree, but the question then is, do you think that if, like, let's say Primo this year, I don't know, AHL stats are always fucking shit, but let's say he wins 30, like, let's say he goes like 30, 12, and 2, I don't know, I can't remember how many games they even played. He posts like a 2.35 and like a 9.18 or something like that. What do you guys have to pay him? And beyond that, if you guys are paying him more than $1.5 million, do you then trade Allen?
If he proves that he is capable of taking a backup role, we could pay him 1.5. Until then, I still think he takes below $1 million, stays in the AHL, and then comes up the year after and fills in Jake Allen's slot.
How good is your guys' AHL team? Like
pretty good. I believe we in theory I think we're the first division last year.
And you didn't win the Calder? Man, at least the
It didn't have a Calder Cup.
At least the Marlies have my back. The Leafs might not, but at least the fucking Marlies won something.
There was no Calder Cup last year.
Really?
I don't think there was.
Where?
No, there wasn't.
Whack.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan...
looking at the regular season in the league, Laval came second. Actually, they tied for first with the Hershey Bears.
Ryan is very excited about the Habs' future here, and I agree with him. I think that the offensively this team is going to be a lot better this year. I think defensively they're going to take a step back, and then it's going to be can Price and Allen do their shit and drag this team into the playoffs, kicking and screaming.
Here's the thing. I don't know if this team's defense is going to take as much of a step. Jeff Petrie has been the better of the two defensemen in the last couple of years. He has.
Even in his own zone?
Yeah. I mean, like, Shea Weber was... The thing that Jeff Petrie can't do is fill in, like, the physicality that Weber always had. But I think between Petrie, Sherrod, Savard, Edmondson, we still have physicality there. So
I can tell you right now, the reason that you guys won at least the first round, because I stopped watching after the first round last year. You guys played really physical against the Leafs, and I'm not going to say you guys wore them down. I think the Leafs beat themselves at the end of the day, but you guys did play a much more physical game than we did, and it helped you out in the further series past the round one. Yeah. I mean, like, they always say defense or offense will win you games, which the Leafs always do, but defense will win you championships, and that's that is a fact. Except unless you're playing football now, because offense will win you championships, because defense fucking can't do anything in the NFL anymore. But so.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm confident in the physicality of this team. I'm confident in the offensive output of at least Petrie. The rest of them, you do. Joel Edmondson's still a solid defender. As he was last year. So
I mean,
I'm confident in their team. They've kind of been taking the preseason off. Playing pretty lax. Like that said, our top four defensemen have been all kind of paired with rookies all through the preseason, just kind of giving them a chance. So that's another thing I like with the preseason. It gives young players a chance to play with the better players, and just especially on defense, you have your experienced player play defense, take the back, and the other guy do what you can, do whatever you want. We got the back end. Go wild.
I mean, so Ethan, I don't know how much preseason hockey you've watched to Vancouver, but I'm assuming you've at least caught like a game.
Yeah, I've caught a lot of hockey.
What do you?
I think so.
I think you said it earlier, but what's been who are the standout guys so far for you? Like who do you like? Do you think any of the guys you've seen that you didn't think were gonna make the roster will make the roster now, or do you think things are pretty set in stone in Vancouver?
Nick Patan is playing really well in the preseason for us.
Love Nick Patan. Shout out Nick Patan. Love that guy.
I could see him definitely making a bottom six role on the squad.
How's Paul?
But I think the Canucks are Pod
Colson. How's he been doing?
I think he's been doing all right. He seems to. He has a very physical side to him, which I love. I can see him playing third line this year for us.
Okay.
Which I'm really excited about, and like a lot of the guys have been playing fairly well. Like Oliver Ekman-Larsson, it's been great watching him play. Yeah, like Jet Wu has been playing all right. Ollie Levy.
Ollie Levy's been playing good?
Yeah.
Or has he been playing passable?
Yeah.
Good or passable?
Been playing good.
Good.
Good for him. Good for him. I'm been waiting for him.
All of us have been waiting for him.
Yeah.
The thing is, last year, Ollie Levy played great at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was playing really, really good hockey at the end of the year. He's probably one of our top defensemen at the end of the year playing. God, I seen a stat where it's like he's on for like 2% of the goals scored.
That's fucking actually
in like the past last 24 games or something like that. It's crazy. The stat I read blew my mind. And it's like, am I reading this right? Is this actually Ollie Levy that I'm reading? But, I mean, the guy's got a lot of potential to still be very good.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see him being a solid top 4 defenseman for us. And I think this year with the defensive pairings, like, you know, you could put him with Quinn Hughes, or you could put him with Oliver Ekman-Larsson on second line.
Mm-hmm.
And see how that goes, you know? I think Ollie is going to be a good fit this year.
I think that the one thing I just got from everything we said is we're all excited about regular season hockey starting, and I think it starts this weekend?
Next Wednesday.
Ah, come on. Why are we going to start in the middle of the week? Who does shit on a Wednesday? Why can't they?
The NHL does.
But why couldn't they have done it on a Tuesday while we're recording this? We could have been like, let's go, let's get pumped up, boys. Like, fuck, now we gotta fucking wait.
We'll get pumped up.
Alright, whatever. So, I have this big topic that I want to go through today, and I don't know how much time it's gonna take, but I just want to touch on this real quick. So I do fantasy hockey in a league that kind of works differently than most leagues. Like if you play like the ESPN stuff, it's nothing like that. So how it works in my league is all of us live in the like close to each other, except for one guy who lives somewhere else. But we all go to this fucking boardroom, and we all like I think my protection list is like 10 guys from last year, and essentially I will sit there and let's say I had the choice to do what I want. Let's say Duncan Keith was sitting there, not on a team. I go, all right, Duncan Keith for $5, and then we bid for the players, and we only have I think it's like $237-ish to build our team. So last weekend, someone came to me and offered me a trade for rookies. They wanted Boston's backup goaltender, and they offered me Andrew Holtz, the guy on New Jersey, that right winger or whatever.
Alex Holtz.
Holtz, yeah. And he goes, Alexander Holtz is 2 or 3 years away, but I think this would be a good trade. And I'm like, I think it'd be a good trade now. Holtz is gonna make that fucking New Jersey lineup this year, so I will take that. Because here's the thing about that guy the backup goalie I traded. He's not gonna be the backup all year. Tuukka Rask is gonna come back and fucking steal the show from him, and then it's gonna be him and Linus Ullmark. I'm like, dude, I'd be a fucking idiot to not take this. So anyways, I got a free player, and that player, the rookie, cost me, I think it's like $5, so I probably will play him this year. But, like, you know, the last draft, I was able to, like, stack my team. I had, like, Sidney Crosby. I was able to get Ovechkin for, like, nothing. It was nuts. I have Tom Wilson on the team. Just fucking nuts. But the only reason I lost last year, and I performed so bad, I just want to say this real quick, is I had Carter Hart. And I'm like, I'm going to do nasty this year. I'm going to do great things. I had Carter Hart, Robin Lehner, and, Yaroslav Halak. I'm like, I'm going to do great things. Fucked, and fucked. I was like, I suck. Yeah. What were you saying, Ryan?
You mentioned Crosby. And that reminded me, Team Canada announced their first 3 players to be named to the roster. They were Crosby, McDavid, Pietrangelo. I am going to go on a limb and say they were announced first, and they were chosen first because they are probably going to be captains and assistants.
I would say
that's Crosby. Yeah, probably Crosby with the C and McDavid, Pietrangelo with Hayes, which not surprising. You know, definitely some solid leadership there. We also saw Sweden announce their first. Yeah, Sweden also announced the first 3 players in Victor Hedman, Mika Zibanejad, and Gabriel Landeskog. Again, probably your captaincy group there. So. Yeah, just wanted to mention those. So, I mean, Crosby, McDavid, and Pietrangelo, all 3 players we need to be on the team.
Yeah. Did you say anything about Team Sweden there too? Because there was Team Sweden.
Yeah, I mentioned it.
Okay.
I mentioned Team Sweden, Hedman, Zibanejad, and Skug. Probably, if I were to guess, I'd say Hedman gets the C, and Zibanejad and Skug get the A's.
So...
Yeah, that'd be my guess.
Yeah, I agree. Do we want to get into this whole fucking thing that I think is going to take a little while to talk about? And this will be the last thing we talk about today, and then we can wrap, or do you got something else?
We can, but before we do...
Go ahead.
We have some breaking news.
Oh.
From an hour ago.
Okay.
Josh, do you have Nick Robertson on your fantasy lineup?
No, I do not. Why?
That's good, because he's not in the AHL this year. He's starting the AHL. He should get sent down. Wow. Still thinking of going with Calder?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
What is this team doing? Oh my god!
Not ready, Josh. He's not ready.
Dude, I swear, no, he is. I swear to God, my team is run by the fucking biggest dumbasses in the fucking league. Like, holy shit. What are we doing? What? Why? Why? I want to know why. I fucking gotta know why now. Why the fuck are we not playing him?
Oh,
Fuck this team. I feel like Steve Dangle. This team is fucking ruining my life. Whatever.
Alright. Moving on.
Steve Dangle.
Let's get into the fucking... Yeah, I wish I was Steve Dangle. That guy's got a lot more of a following than we do. Anyways, so let's talk about this because I feel like it's going to take a while. Is the integrity of the game at risk here? Because there's a lot of shit that's been happening in the past few years that is really making me question what the NHL is doing from a business standpoint rather than playing hockey at a fair game pace, you know what I mean? And so, last year, I think everyone's probably seen this clip, but I'm going to play it anyway. Tim Peel, referee from New Brunswick, during a game, I think it was Nashville and Detroit, I'm actually sure it is, said, I'll play the clip. Fuck, I'll just play the clip here, hold on.
It wasn't much, but I wanted to get a fucking penalty against Nashville early in the...
You can't say that. Like, you can't fucking say that. Like, he literally goes, I wanted to give a makeup call to Nashville. So, you're telling me that my entire childhood where I said, man, this really feels like bullshit, makeup calls, it's actually real? Like, this is something that actually does happen? My team gets screwed all the time, and not just mine, but every team gets screwed all the time? Like, this to me is ridiculous. Like, last year, I saw this graphic, I didn't pull it out because I wasn't thinking, but last year there was only 5 games where the penalty differential in the games was more than 2.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much shit that goes uncalled in the NHL, and it's not, like, everything is subjective. Being a referee is hard. I understand that. But I used to think, man, being a referee is really hard. So that's why they're missing calls all the time. But then I hear what Tim Peel says, and I'm like, no, it's not hard to be a referee. They just fucking do the shit to... keep the
making up as they go along.
Well, that's the frustrating part from a fan standpoint, and it's just like, and it's not like the league went, okay, no, Tim Peel that's a one-off situation. We gotta fire him, get him out the door. No, what they did is they basically sat him down, told him you're not reffing any more games in your career because he was gonna retire at the end of the year anyway, and just kept paying him. So they didn't fire him so he wouldn't lose his pension. So he's still getting paid by the league. And so I'm like, okay, so the league obviously doesn't care about what Tim Peel said, or it's fucking true, and so it doesn't matter. And either way, like, does that... Ryan, in one of the videos we were talking about, you said something about the shit. Fuck. What's the word? Fuck! Not pace of the game, but the parity in the league. And I asked you this the other day. I said, does, like, makeup calls and stuff, does that ruin the, like, this, like, you know what I mean? Like, does it ruin the parity? Yeah, does it take the parity out? Like, what, like, where is that happening, right?
I think the obvious solution is to have officials call everything all the time, always.
I agree.
If it's penalty in November, it's a penalty in the playoffs.
There's no consistency in officiating.
Yeah,
there's none
consistency. We need. The NHL has come out and said they're going to enforce stricter cross-checking rules in the upcoming season. Stricter. They're not changing the rule.
But the thing is, like, I'm gonna bring this up real quick. Austin Matthews in the documentary the reason he hurt his wrist is because he literally admitted, he's like, I cross-checked this guy, didn't get a penalty, and I'm like, okay. So you have a player openly admitting to cross-checking someone, doesn't get a penalty. Now, we have the Tim Peel situation where it's just like, okay, so makeup calls do exist, and the refs don't call anything, and, you know, in the NBA, they had their whole scandal, and I would say anyone that's a sports fan should go and listen to this podcast. It's called Whistleblowers on Spotify. They talk about Tim Donaghy, the referee, that was actually fixing games in the NBA, and was betting on those games, and making a fuck ton of money. Anyways, I don't want to say that something like that in the NHL is happening, but I do think that they have the ability to influence this game so much. Because if I go, say the Leafs get 10 power plays in a game against, I don't know, Montreal, they're at least going to score on one of those. Like, you know, like, if the Leafs take 10 penalties, call 10 penalties. Like, I don't understand. Because if you start calling everything, players will change their game. They're not going to keep going, okay, I'm going to keep fucking doing this shit, slashing, cross-checking bullshit. Like, call the damn call. Make the call. Like, make the call. Mm-hmm. I don't understand. Yeah. Ethan, you haven't said anything on this. What do you think of the, like, the referee calls and makeup calls and all this shit?
I have to agree with you guys. Like, it's very, back to what Ryan said, if there's a call made in November, the same call should be made in the playoffs.
Yeah. Like, I
100% agree with that, and I think consistency is lacking with referees, and NHL. You know, you go down, you watch it, like, you're thinking, wow, what a great hockey game. All of a sudden, bam, your team is touched by a stupid penalty.
Well, and
why doesn't that happen to the other team? Why isn't it, you know, like, it's just, I find it so inconsistent that it makes my blood boil. You know, I don't want to end up on for the same thing over and over, but
like, let's say
I agree with you guys.
We've all seen this in a game. Team A trips Team B, no call. Team B goes and trips Team A again, just to get him back. Nothing happens. Okay. Well, then Team B goes and let's say they didn't trip the guy, but he just, you know, put his stick in just close enough where the guy kind of fell over. Could have been an embellishment call. No, immediate penalty. And I'm like, so are we intentionally? I can't tell if the league is intentionally missing calls or like. Because what is happening? I understand being a referee is really subjective, and it's hard to make calls all the time. But you can't tell me that referees are the best referees in the world are missing calls with this much consistency. Because the thing is, in that podcast, the Whistleblowers podcast, they talked to an FBI agent that was a part of the case with Tim Donaghy. And he said, and I quote, he put his fingers an inch apart from each other and said the NBA is this close to being the WWE. I don't want to believe that my favorite sport in the world is the WWE, the equivalent, where it's all rigged, it's fixed. Like, where one team is already put at a disadvantage from the other guys. Because to me, that's not what this is about. I watch the game because I enjoy hockey. I enjoy watching it. But at the same time, anything can happen. And I don't want to think that, like, Carolina's miracle run in 2004, whatever that was a fluke. Like, that was just, the NHL wanted Carolina to win a Stanley Cup. I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that in the NBA, I don't want to believe that the Raptors championship was fixed. I'm a Raptors fan. I cherished that championship. Kawhi might have left. Whatever. Big deal. I'm still a Raptors fan. I appreciated them winning that. I'm a Leafs fan, and I'm not going to say the Leafs get screwed in the playoffs, but I will say me and Ryan watching that playoff series, we both had agreed like 100 times that was a penalty. What are they doing? Yeah. Like, even on both teams. I would look at Ryan when the Leafs did something to him, and he's like, that's a penalty. I'm like, yeah, that was a penalty. Yeah. There's no call. And I'm like, what? Like, I can't tell, right? And I think that this goes deeper than just the referees. Like, I think there's actual corruption in the league. Like, the players can't do whatever the fuck they want. Like, you can't even get a fucking surgery you want in Jack Eichel's case. Also, Jack Eichel, real quick, we'll talk about this. Stripped his captaincy because he doesn't agree with the team. And they're going to have to move him, and now they can't move him because he failed his physical, so he has to pass his physical before they can fucking trade him. Which is stupid.
All right. Before we get into that, though, can I ask this question to you guys? We talked about the repping needs to be more consistent. What does the NHL need to do to ensure more consistency?
At the end of the game, like the NBA has been doing recently, if there is a fucked call, like a super fucked call, They put a video out after explaining why this happened and exactly what they're going to do to fix it if it was a missed call. I want the NHL to come out and tell us that they missed shit and they're going to fix it. And even if they don't fix it, I will still be upset. But I want them to at least admit the mistake. Because that's the thing that frustrates me, is there's no consistency, and then there's no, like, ownership to making the mistake. Accountability, yes.
No accountability.
Yes. Ethan, what do you think?
I gotta agree. But there's also another thing too, where it's like, back to what you said, Josh. Hockey's a hard sport to referee because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
And even having the best referees in the game, unfortunately, not everything is going to be able to get called.
Yes.
And that's the thing, and I don't think hockey could ever be viewed as staged, because hockey is the most unexpected sport to watch. You shoot a puck down the ice, it could hit a chip in the board and
it could go in. It could go in. I've seen it. Yeah. Trust me, I had Jonathan Bernier for years. I've seen it.
So Toskawa, for a great example.
Yeah. But like.
No, it just, there's a lot of like little things in hockey where you could think it's a total penalty. Like you guys have all seen clips where a player accidentally slashes somebody, but here's the thing: the stick doesn't even touch his face.
Yeah.
And the player still falls over, and the ref calls a high stick.
What is embellishment?
There's a lot of there's a lot of small stuff like that, and I mean, yeah, there's a lot of embellishment. That's a great question. What is embellishment?
I feel like embellishment doesn't get called as much as it should, but I'm also just gonna say this because I remember saying this the other day, because me and Ryan had talked about this for like 40 minutes, and then he cut me off and he goes, "Josh, we gotta stop talking about this. We gotta save it for the podcast." But so I had made this point where I had said I believe that the people upstairs or the people in Toronto should be able to call a stoppage whenever the fuck they want. The referees miss something, call it. Fucking call it. Yeah. Blow a horn, do something, stop the game, and make the right fucking call. I don't care if it's against my team. Just make the call and make it consistently. Like, that's all I care about.
I would rather the game be slowed down in the if it means the calls will be made correct.
It's the integrity of the game. Like,
yeah. Whether it's to have somebody in Toronto do it in their headquarters, or have somebody have a booth referee up in in a booth, and he's seeing the game as it is on TV and everything, and he can call play dead whenever.
Let's say he calls it. Okay, he shouldn't be the deciding factor. So let's go to the video review. Let's get all the referees together and talk about it. Show them what they missed. Tell them what's wrong. But
in that same vein, could we see maybe an argument that penalties could be reviewable or challenged by a coach?
Yes, 100%, 100%.
That is a great thing to bring up, because I was just thinking the same thing. They have coaches challenge on reviewable goals. Why not reviewable penalties? If there's a missed call that a coach sees, he should be able to have that choice to say, hey, look, I believe this is a missed call. You guys should review it. If it's not a missed call, he loses his timeout. If it is, great. His team gets a power play.
Like, I imagine the argument would be like, oh, then you're taking it out of the referee's hand. Well, to me, if you're making the right call, then it shouldn't matter. Like, the integrity of the game is so fucking important to me that I don't care. Like, the referee is still gonna get paid the same fucking amount of money he's making. It shouldn't matter. Like,
the right call needs to be made regardless of who's making the call.
So I want to broaden the scope on this. Outside of refereeing, I think there's a lot of shit happening behind closed doors right now that people need to talk about more. And this started when Robin Lehner came out last week and said that Nolan Patrick told him that Philadelphia was giving him, I can't remember what do you have the drug name in front of you?
I have the tweets in front of me. He did not mention Nolan Patrick by name.
Well, that's the assumption though, because
there is an assumption there, seeing as he did call out Vino, though he did retract and say that the call out on Vino had nothing to do with the drugs.
Okay.
Drug accusation. The initial tweet was, and I'll read it out here: is it common for workplaces to give out benzodiazepines to employees when they travel or Ambien? Should that not be done by doctors or psychiatrists? Asking from a friend. This doesn't happen in Vegas, to be clear, but I know many other teams. I also been on teams that do.
Well, yeah, I have his other tweet from his ankle, and it said they screwed my ankle big time. Then surgery, and then pills. No care, almost died. But hey, after forcing leg press for a few weeks with a bad high ankle sprain first game, that is the foot after treatment. Later is my soul gone after a month after surgery. It's not all pretty.
Yeah.
So, what... I mean, and the thing is, like, it's not necessarily that it's just that those drugs are being given unprescribed. It's that these players are not being told what the consequences and the side effects to what this medication can do. The only reason that supposedly, I'm saying it again, Nolan Patrick, the only reason that supposedly he understands what was wrong with it is because Robin Lehner's gone through it and he fucking told him what the negative effects are of this. Like, that to me is just nuts. Like,
and the thing is, it's not just Robin Lehner. We've heard some other former players, Dale Weiss.
Yep.
He said, "Wow, just catching up from Robin Lehner's tweets. Very rare for an active player to speak the truth and not be afraid to shed light on current situations in that respect." Mm-hmm. Tom says Tito.
Tom Sestito?
Yes, Tom Sestito. Good for Robin Lehner, standing up for the greater good. I can only speak for myself. The amount of vitamin T, Toradol, and Ambien I was given is insane. As the NHL is getting a lot younger kids, these kids should know what they're walking into.
That's the thing, right?
So that's 3 players who've said, yes, this is what's happening.
And all of those guys, I'm pretty sure, I don't know about Dale Weiss, but I know Sestito did play for the Flyers at one point.
Sestito did. Dale Weiss, I believe, did.
I think
Robin
he did
Lehner
too.
never played for them.
No,
Robin Lehner never played under Allen.
My assumption is that Robin Lehner got this from Nolan Patrick. That conversation was had. Either that.
There was a rumor though that there was one person who tweeted out about it, later retracted that, saying it's false. So
my other assumption is that this happened to Robin Lehner when he was on Ottawa, because it wouldn't have happened to him when he was on Jersey, or not New Jersey, the Island, because he was having a monster of a fucking year. So
yeah. He has credited the Island in the past with helping him get off his addictions and his problems and helping him through those. He also did say it happened for 8 years. The assumption is it was in Ottawa and Buffalo that he had his problems.
And so my assumption then, right, because when we were first talking about this, I said, how deep do you think this goes? Because I thought that it was just Flyers. But if we're talking about that, then this, I don't know if it's necessarily, and I hate to say that it's league-wide, but it does seem like it could be a lot bigger than it's being talked about right now. And the thing
based on what we've heard, I would say it's probably not every team, but I would not be shocked if it's.
Do you guys think that the league knew about this? Because what they're doing right now online is they're saying that they want to talk to Robin Lehner and this, that, and the other thing about the accusations he made. Do you think the league knew about this?
There may have been rumors, but I'm going to say they probably did. Especially where they're going out and looking to reach out to Robin Lehner. The NHLPA did speak with him today.
But do you think that the PA could just be doing that? It's just like a good press?
I mean, I think it's in their best interest to investigate, right? So,
I mean, that's what I mean. Like, investigate or actually invest. Like the thing is, do you believe that there's nothing? Like, they had no fucking idea that there was something like this going on.
I would be surprised if the NHLPA didn't know. I'd be surprised if the NHL did have some idea.
Yeah.
But I would be. It is in both their best interest as the league and as the Players Association to investigate these claims properly. Especially we've had multiple accounts coming out about it.
And I wouldn't be. I'll go to Ethan here in a second. I just want to say this. I wouldn't be as frustrated if the teams were explaining to these guys what the consequences of doing this is. My problem is they're giving them unprescribed, over-the-counter drugs and not telling them any negative effects of it. And the NHL and the teams and the CBA can force these guys to take them. It's like forcing Jack Eichel not to be able to do what he wants. Like, these guys get paid. Like, we're treating these players like fucking robots and assets when they are human beings with human problems and human emotions. Like, I don't understand. I understand we're paying some of these guys $10+ million. But at the end of the day, Connor McDavid is a fucking human being. Like, and so is Jack Eichel. Like, show some fucking human decency. I understand that you have a lot of money tied up and capital and your investment, all this other shit. He is a fucking human. He's not a house.
And this does bring up another point. We mentioned how it is in the NHL's best interest to investigate this. Akeem Alio, who had come out in the past about some accusations of how players of color are treated.
Yep.
Elliot tweeted out that there was word the NHL was going to reach out to Robin Lehner. He responded to that tweet saying, perhaps the NHL will feign interest, claim to investigate, and never get back to years and hope the public attention goes away. So that's an interesting take from a player who had to go through similar experiences to
get
information out.
That honestly kind of makes me think that the NHL does know this is going on. But I do want to get Ethan's opinion on this because we kind of just been talking here. So Ethan, what do you think of this? Like, how deep does this go? Like, do you think it's league-wide, team-wide? Like what is your opinion on us giving unprescribed hard drugs to people and not telling them what the negative consequences are?
Yeah, play it.
I don't know. I mean, there's not enough knowledge right now for me to make that guess.
Mm-hmm.
I think if it's more investigated in, the more we'll know.
Mm-hmm.
But if Robin Lehner's coming out and saying this, there's obviously a reason.
Yeah.
I don't think what he's saying is false. I think what he's saying is more than likely true. Because why else would he say this, right?
Yeah. And
like, how would that benefit him if
Like, Robin Lehner in the past hasn't been afraid to come out and call the NHL out for its shit.
Yeah.
And I actually really appreciate that. I'm sorry to cut you off there, Ethan. I just wanted to add that in.
No. Yeah, I mean, that's just it, right? Like, it's a tough decision for me to say. But, I mean, who knows? Like, it could be team-wide, it could be league-wide.
Do you think that not necessarily that the league is endorsing this, but do you think that the league actively knows about this and is just doing like what I said, where they're just gonna, like, kind of what that guy said there, they're gonna talk about it and investigate and then brush it under the table, and in 2 years when it gets brought back up again, everyone's gonna be like, oh man, what happened to this? Like,
I think the NHL will try and brush it away because think about it, in the past about 2 years, there's been two major
scandals
that have been brought back up. And that's the Akeem Ali situation with the Calgary Flames.
That's fucked up.
And there's the Chicago Blackhawks 2010.
Also fucked up.
Yeah. Scandal.
Both of those situations just fucking terrible. Like,
absolutely, my absolute condolences to both sides. Okay, and everybody that was affected in Chicago, and Akeem Ali, and Native American players who've been absolutely pushed aside because of racism.
And I mean, if we were gonna talk about this, I'd rather give that controversy stuff in its entire own video because I don't want to half-ass it. So if anyone actually wants to read into these two scandals we're talking about, my best suggestion is to go online and read about it because I'm not going to be able to do it justice. There's just so much terrible shit that happens in this league, and it hurts me as a fan of the league, as a fan of hockey, and just like I genuinely think that there might be some form of actual genuine corruption happening. Well, there obviously is because this entire league is run around money, and every time some money is involved in something, there's going to be corruption. And I just didn't think that it would be the integrity of the game and come at the risk and of these guys, and just like how the player safety right now, the head of player safety is an ex-player that just like fucking didn't call shit, he didn't suspend guys enough. I don't believe that it should be a head of player safety. It should be a board of player safety, where you have an entire board of doctors, ex-players, guys who would fight, guys who have taken massive hits, all this stuff. Get them on a board and actually talk about it. Talk about the physical damage, talk about the psychological damages, talk about everything that we need to discuss in this day and age about stuff like that, and suspend or fucking do shit to players accordingly. Stop letting one guy make the fucking decisions. Like, I hate this.
Yeah.
It gets hard to watch.
Yeah. Now we should probably move on because we're running low on time here. But before we do, just because the Flyers and Alan Vigneault were roped into it, I will mention that Chuck Fletcher made a statement on the health and well-being of the players is a top priority, and any care provided to them comes from the team's healthcare professionals, not the coaching staff. We have no reason to believe that any of our players ever see it.
I also believe that
Flyers GM Chuck.
I believe Alan Vigneault also gave a something on this.
He did. I don't have those comments in front of me.
I don't have it in front of me either. I'm hoping that it's either on their Twitter or somewhere.
Actually, I do have it here.
Okay.
Vigneault's responded, I don't know the young man. Two things he said about me were, I was a dinosaur. I would consider myself experienced dinosaur. He said with experience, you become a dinosaur maybe. I do know that I've been coaching for years. I'm tough, I'm demanding, but I care about my players. I want their best. Through the years, some guys have liked me and some guys have a little bit less. But I've done it with best intentions, with respect. As far as the other thing, me pushing pills, I don't need another income. I have no idea where that comes from. I don't know what else to say. I just don't. Yeah.
If this is actually happening, because I don't, unless you have something else to talk about, I don't think there was anything else we're gonna go over this episode.
We did have the COVID roundup that we mentioned. That here.
Well, yeah. If you just to wrap up on this, I just want to say this real quick. If this is actually happening, and you know, there's like it showed last year, if these makeup calls keep happening, especially now with the NHL being a big part of betting now, because you can bet on NHL games and one game betting and all this other shit, this could destroy the league. This could actually ruin the league. It could ruin the betting market, and if the betting market gets pissed, then a lot of money that the league has that's supposed to keep us afloat for the next few years is going bye-bye. I think the players should go on strike whenever we have the next CBA up, because this is just, it's shitty. Like, the players are getting fucking screwed. And I used to be anti-player and more pro-team, but as I've aged and realized that how shitty fucking giant corporations are, it should be way more player-orientated than this.
Yeah, I think that's a worst-case scenario, but fair enough. So moving on to the COVID-19 roundup. As we know so far, 27 of 32 teams fully vaccinated. The 5 that are not are the Vancouver Canucks, New Jersey Devils, the Edmonton Oilers, Detroit Red Wings, and the San Jose Sharks. 4 of those teams we know are missing one player each. Those are the Canucks missing Travis Hamonic. The Devils are missing Mackenzie Blackwood. Oilers are missing Josh Archibald, and the Red Wings are missing Tyler Chusey. The one team we don't know who they're missing is the San Jose Sharks, who have been really evasive.
See, the thing is, I just want to say this, because the way that it's working right now is if you're unvaccinated, you can't play in Canada. So guys who are on Vancouver, like Hamonic has talked about retiring. I've also seen trade rumors for him now, but if he doesn't get vaccinated, which I believe everyone should fucking get vaccinated, please, for the love of God, if you're listening to this, get vaccinated, please. Anyways, you just you can't play on your own fucking team. You can play whenever they go away, but you know, like, what are you doing? Like, I'm glad to say this though, that there's that little amount of players that are unvaccinated, other than what San Jose is doing. I don't really fucking know. I'm surprised that San Jose has been evasive about this, because California has been really on the ball.
Rules,
So my assumption is a lot of those guys are vaccinated. They just fucking don't want to release their status.
Yeah, they're not entirely sure yet. Like you said, Travis Hamonic has said that all options on the table, including retirement. The Oilers, we know Josh Archibald. He had COVID over the summer, and he's been diagnosed with myocarditis. So deaf. So he will not be playing anytime soon.
Yeah.
So the Oilers are effectively fully vaxxed. The Red Wings, Tyler Bertuzzi is not vaccinated. We know the plan is he will continue to play games in the U.S. and he will not travel to Canada and miss those games.
I don't want to make comments on players' decisions, but I do have fucking.
Only other note I'll make: the Dallas Stars do have a player in the AHL, Lehner, who is not vaccinated, but they have said they would be vaccinated at the NHL level, so he just won't be on the team this year. Which I don't know if there's an expectation they would. So.
I just want to say I thought I had some breaking news, but Brady Tkachuk is trending on Twitter right now, but I don't see any. It just seems like a lot of people are very upset that they're under the cap floor right now without him being signed, and they still haven't signed him. He is also the only RFA left, so I'm assuming that's why he's trending. But still.
I will also mention, second on COVID, the OHL, who did not play their season last year, is 100% vaccinated.
That means they're ready to go.
Yep, all players are vaccinated and are good to go. So, good for them.
Well, the queue has already gotten going already, so it's good to see that that's going to happen again this year because, I mean, it makes drafting a lot easier. But we can wrap on that. We've talked about a lot of stuff today. We've gone over COVID, talking about corruption, preseason, all this other stuff. But I think we're done. Ethan, do you have anything else that you want to go through? Or Ryan does? Okay.
I have one thing to mention.
Go ahead.
I have one thing to mention. Nashville put out a statement that assistant coach Todd Richards had a heart attack on Friday. He is now home from the hospital and resting comfortably, so we all wish him, everybody here at Off the Boards, wishes him well and his family for a speedy recovery.
I couldn't say it any better myself. So,
absolutely.
We'll wrap here. So, guys, we appreciate you guys all for watching and listening to us, however you did. If you guys are on YouTube and you like the video, consider giving us a like. If you really liked it, consider subscribing. On YouTube, we are Off the Boards with Josh and Ryan. That'll probably soon be changed because we have Ethan here now. On Spotify, we are Off the Boards. On Twitter, we are OTBS Hockey Pod. And yeah, I'm Josh. That's Ethan. That's Ryan. And together, we have all been Off the Boards. See you guys.